welcome to Remember Me, the show about the sudden rise to fame.
Each week we talk to the people who burst onto our screens.
We talk the highs, the lows, the headlines, and what happens when the attention fades.
From tabloid chaos
to early internet madness.
Where do they go? What are they up to?
I'm Catherine Bohart.
And I'm Scott Bryan.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you never miss an update or an episode. This is Remember Me.
Maisie couldn't make it today, but we sent out the bat signal. And the wonderful Catherine Bohart has decided to fill in, or the person responded to the bat signal. Does that make sense?
It was me. I was the only one who wasn't playing football.
Such a joy for you to be here. Thank
Thrilled.
you. We are going to be speaking to Big Brother star Nick Bateman, a.k.a. Nasty Nick.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. He was better known as Nasty Nick, of course, because of the events that took place in the house on the very first series in the year 2000. He revealed he was secretly trying to influence nominations, breaking some of the show's biggest rules.
Yes, Nick became a national talking point almost overnight, with newspapers calling him the most hated man in Britain. Everyone had an opinion on the scandal at the time. At one point, the reaction got so intense, it was joked that Parliament was monitoring developments in the Big Brother house closely, as if Nick
AKA just tuning into Channel 4 at
exactly.
9.
As if he was somehow a matter of national security rather than a guy arguing over nominations in a garden.
Classic.
Mad.
And then the episode was watched by more than 6 million people. And it was at the time Channel 4's biggest ratings for 5 years. Do you remember that period? Did you watch those?
Do I remember when reality television, my favourite brand of television, hit the airwaves and I had to beg, barter, bribe my mother to let me watch what these Brits were up to? Yeah, I remember. It was such an exciting time to be alive.
And then do you remember this particular moment? Because it was quite early on in the Big Brother sort of thing. It was when it was starting to gain traction, touch a nerve. I was 10, so my knowledge of Big Brother was seeing the headlines that this caused.
What year were you born?
I was born in 89.
Okay, so now I know I was 11. But I do remember thinking, I knowing about it and it being a real it being a real kind of moment of like shock that anybody could be a bad person on television when they should know we're watching them.
100%. And I think it was also like the show had started to come of age. It was this big social experiment. And then all of a sudden it ended up then kind of taking a different dimension because I think nobody knew that this show was going to become the massive show it ended up being.
No.
But then also like Nick played a different tactic, which to be fair, doesn't really seem that much of a thing now in the current day of age of reality TV and traitors and such. But back then was so big. Yeah. Was like seen to be a huge event. Of course, there was Craig kind of having that interjection over the table saying you're playing a dirty game. And
I think on reflection, I'm like, wow, we really didn't know how much we were being manipulated at the time either. Like the way in which the group think of like what a bad thing to have done, as opposed to like, they put you in a restrictive situation and they make random rules and maybe it's like actually more human to resist those in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like ultimately just a game show. But at the time it felt like, no, this is a measure of your personhood.
Exactly. And I think in this interview that we have with Nick, we speak to him about like what it was like to be in the middle of that, whether he was adequately or whether he felt he was adequately protected at the time. Essentially like his take on like, was it really bad? And also what it was like having the name Nasty Nick basically just attached to your name for life and what that means. It's a bit of a surreal scenario.
Yeah, and whether or not he would recommend anybody else engage in reality TV, having come out of it as basically TV's first villain.
Yeah, which is quite a big thing. So here is our chat with Nick Bateman, a.k.a. Nasty Nick. We're joined here by Nick Bateman. Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
We're here to obviously talk about your role in, one of the biggest reality shows of all time, but also playing a notable part in the very first series of that show that everyone knows you about. I guess the first question is, what was life like before Big Brother?
Do you know what? Life was pretty normal. You know, I had a job and got up and took a tube and went to work and had a drink and went to bed and got up and did the hamster wheel that you do for many years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of strange because I more remember the prequel to going into the house than anything else, because it was once I was accepted to the show, there was this advert on Channel 4 that had 5 days, 4 hours and 6 seconds. I thought it's, I don't know what that was. And only when I was in the hotel the night before, when it said, 12 hours and 10 seconds, oh my God, this promo is about us.
This might be bigger than I thought it was.
And
Whoa.
right the night before, when I was at the Blind Beggar pub in East London, and they had a billboard of, Big Brother, and then it only dawned on me then that actually this might be quite big.
So safe to say you were slightly perhaps underprepared for how big it was going to be.
Totally.
Yeah.
All of us were, because it was late night Channel 4, and no one watches late night Channel 4 unless you're a student or you can't sleep or you're back from the pub.
Yeah.
So all of us thought,
or all three.
Yeah, all three.
So all of us thought, no one's going to watch this, But it was so heavily promo that we didn't know. And they had that eye in the background, and then 10 hours, 2 days, or it was.
So what attracted you to it in the first place?
I don't know, probably a bit of craziness.
But how did you even hear about it? Do you remember?
I think someone at work said so. I think, sometimes life is very short and you make a decision and you look back and it's either the best decision or the worst decision. But I just thought, and I saw people who had been in the same job for 30 years in the same house, drinking at the same pub, doing the same things. And I thought, that's not what life is about. And I thought, if I didn't change it, I would be exactly the same thing, because we get comfortable, and I didn't want to do that.
Most people would just do a triathlon, and you were like, I'll just sign up for a national television show.
But Big Brother wasn't supposed to be the segue, to TV. It was just a segue to do something totally different.
So what was your audition then? Did you have to make a tape?
Yeah, no, we had to do a tape. And then we had to fill out this form, and then we had to do these psych tests, and we had to do these egg and spoon races. And
okay. So psych test makes sense in reality TV. Egg and spoon race.
Well, we had all these little tests, like someone put a name of a famous person on your head, and so everyone else had one around the room, and you had to try and guess who you were.
Okay.
And they had
so far, it sounds like a weird family Christmas.
Yeah, no, it was. It's like a totally weird. And just interview after interview after interview. It's probably about 6 or 7 until the final interview, which was the Talk of Doom.
And what was the Talk of Doom?
It's when they say, if we give this, if you do this show, do you realise that you could be famous, and it could change your life?
Okay, so there was like one warning.
Yeah, it was.
It doesn't sound like a doomed talk, though. Do you want to be famous? And you're kind of like,
but that depends
kind of.
But not everyone does, right?
We've all seen Big Brother in the years subsequently, and how big it's grown. And of course, you see the big crowds and Davina, and now it's on ITV. It's different again. When you went into that show originally, is in a different location. Was it quite small?
Yeah, our location was almost like a prison. It was on 3 Mill Island, which is an old film studio out in Bow. And they had the razor fence and smiley dogs that growled at people. And literally it was, perimeters were guarded by people with fierce dogs. So it was quite austere and very basic. Now all the colours are very garish, and they've got double beds and running hot water, so it's like a holiday camp. Our one was a bit basic and a bit brutal, and probably just like a prison.
So describe what it was like when firstly you were told that you were on the show, and I guess also your expectations before you went in, I guess.
I think when I was told, and this is the funniest story, because they thought I'd be very boring on the show.
Do you think that's the box you were supposed to tick?
Yeah, no.
They underestimated you.
I never promised anything on my audition tape that I'd be the best and funniest, and you must pick me. So I think my audition tape was quite straight. But when they said it, it was okay. And I'd already resigned from my job, so
yeah.
Was you resigned from your job because of the show?
Yeah.
Whoa, you had to resign before you even knew you had it.
I actually resigned and used that as a bargaining chip to hurry the process up, because they were, umming and ahhing about the last person they were going to cast.
Nick,
which was
do you
me.
want to be my agent? That's amazing. That's incredibly impressive. But so you resigned, you used that, they said yes. Did you couldn't tell anyone?
I couldn't tell anyone because the Daily Mail were offering stupid money to actually inform of your friends and people doing it. I should have done it myself, then taken the money and not done it.
You really should have. But no one knew.
So I had flatmates.
Yeah.
and I didn't tell them.
Where did they think you were?
The mind, I can't say the word, but the mind, I can't cut out, but the mind fuck of them sitting in my house watching me on television, not realizing I'm in the show.
Until the moment that you came in.
Yeah. So they didn't know.
And for the record, you can totally say mindfuck. That's fine.
Yeah. I loved it. I was like, what's he going to say? And I was like, oh, no, that you can say. That's fine.
That's totally fine.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's so weird because I didn't tell them. And I just said, like, I'm going away for a couple of weeks. I'll see you soon.
I mean, technically, that's right.
The thing that's interesting for me is that it was the first series because the huge disparity between your incredibly low expectations and the phenomenon it became must have been overwhelming. Do you have a moment in your mind where you realized how big it had been? And was it in the house or was it out of the house? Did you get an inkling?
No, I think one of the reasons why the producers thought I was maybe a plant or a spy or working for a newspaper was I became acutely aware that this was bigger than they were telling us. And I became acutely aware that the output wasn't really what was occurring within the house.
How?
You just get this feeling. You just get this feeling that the cameras are following you more than someone else. And you just get this, some people have it, you just get this, sixth sense that what's going on is not necessarily what is broadcast. And also, I think one day we heard the audience, and at first we thought it was the producers, screwing with their heads by putting on crowd noise. And we thought, no one's watching it, so they're putting on crowd noise like a terrible game show in the 70s where they got a canned audience. So we thought perhaps they're making it more popular, trying to inspire us to continue. I think probably after 4 or 5 weeks, then I sort of realized this is probably quite big.
Interesting. But I mean, that could have been delusion or paranoia. It happened that you were right, but...
It could have been because you don't sleep properly, you don't eat properly. They feed you with alcohol when you're all down. So it could have been huge paranoia. But I just knew that there was something that wasn't right.
Fascinating. And obviously, I mean, the thing that is notable about you is that you did become sort of the first TV villain of the series, certainly of this series. Did you know that was? Did you have a sense of when that was happening, or?
I began to felt that I was some kind of target for something. I didn't know quite what then because the old villain edit wasn't yet explored about reality TV. Yeah. But of course, there are storyboards, and they try and fit, stories that storyboard. But obviously, I was the perfect candidate for it. Although perhaps at the start of it, it could have been someone totally different. But I probably gave them that leap of faith to go, right, we'll concentrate on this one and see how it does it.
So describe what happened to basically make the name Nasty essentially.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things that if you get a nickname, it's fairly good, but it kind of sticks. It's like if you were in EastEnders, you're an ex-EastEnders the rest of your life, and I'm Nasty Nick the rest of my life. Even if I went, and gave bread to the poor and set up a foundation.
Did you?
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, sure.
Just come back from that in Australia. No. So I didn't obviously realise that. And one of the worst things they do about when you first leave the house, they kind of put you in a room with the media person from Endemol, and they get these newspapers and go thud them down, and you're looking at them, and it's the worst thing to do to somebody because
the second you come out,
not a second, but within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And you're looking at these newspapers, and some of the stories obviously true, and some are not true, and some are very hurtful. And you kind of go, "What are you doing? You haven't trained me. I haven't had to sit down with a person from your company. You just give me all these things to read, and it's very difficult to how you react to that kind of thing.
Yeah, it must be completely overwhelming.
And it was. The day I was kicked out, I think I was on every front page of every newspaper apart from the FT, which was like page 3.
Some dignity for the FT, actually.
For the Financial Times to be having literally, it's quite an achievement.
And at first I thought it was one of those things that in the old days you could go to Hamlet's, a toy shop, and you can get your parents to buy you a front cover, like, Nick fought Muhammad Ali in 3 rounds. So at first I thought, okay, this is half of my mind was this is still part of the show. And they've made up all these newspapers, but then when there were quotes from people I hadn't seen for 30 years coming out the woodwork, you kind of go, okay, it's not.
Is that, I mean, how do you, in that moment, does that feel like that experience will ever end? Because I know, like in any other situation in panic, you'll go, well, shortly this will be over. Does it feel like this is going to be your life now when they show you all that?
It's quite difficult to comprehend at that time how I felt then, because it was just so alien. You're normally trained, if someone jumps out at you, you know what to do. But if someone drops newspapers on your desk and goes, this has been written about you, then that's an experience that no one's used to.
Yeah.
So when you were in the house, I mean, like, Channel 4 said at the time that you were evicted for, quote, persistent infringement of Big Brother rules. I mean, what were your tactics when you were in the house that led to that removal?
Okay, it's quite easy in a way, is that, let's say, Big Brother was like a prison. You're actually imprisoned. You're told when to wake, you're told when to sleep, you're told when to exercise. You can't drink or smoke without giving them things, and you can't escape. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit like if you were going to prison for the first time, you make sure that you make friends with various people so they don't shank you or do something horrible to you. And it's the same thing with humans, in business or with your colleagues. You don't have to like your boss, you don't have to like your co-workers, but you don't show it. And so I thought I would do the show and I'd be friends with every person or speak to them every day. Because the object was, I have to vote one of you two out today, and you two have to vote someone else out. So the way for them not to vote me was to give everyone 10 minutes time.
Yeah.
And producers
proper politician stuff.
Yeah,
this is
and
amazing.
the thing is, I never physically hurt anyone. I was never rude to anyone. I wasn't abusive, which most of the contestants after my series have been. And I played a psychological game that didn't do anyone any damage. And I think producers couldn't understand why all the housemates loved me. And that's why I got 0 votes. But the public didn't. And that's when you go back to, okay, that's when I knew something was up, because I was only one of the few people ever to get 0 votes, not even one, for 5 weeks. That just shows you that the people in the house really liked me.
Yeah.
But the output going out to the public was different. But I accept that, because I signed that paper and it says, we will broadcast whatever we want.
And you're not allowed to bring in a pencil, that kind of thing.
Well, they gave us pencils. There's always we had a game of Sudoku or some game. They produce pencils, and it's like someone slips a nail file in your cake when you're in jail. You use it, and so they gave us pencils. But the girls were writing in lipstick as well on the mirrors to the other girls, so they could vote out people. So I was not the only person infringing the rules. But
did you not back your social game? Because it sounds like your social game was working. Like it sounded like they all liked you, but you also had a game plan.
Yeah, no, the game plan was just to spend literally 10 minutes with everyone, just make sure that you give people time. Because if you give people time and singing, how are you today? Should you have some tea? Should you chat outside? Should you have a cigarette? Should you have a glass of beer?
It sounds like that was working, though.
Yeah, it was. But I think producers couldn't understand it. And they couldn't understand how the voting patterns were working. But now, you look at Wikipedia, you can see actually the women voted all the same way as the men voted. So it's either a huge coincidence. So I think, I was doing what other people were doing, but I was doing it more blatantly and more attracting more attention. And they couldn't understand, they even thought I had a mobile phone in the house.
That's so funny that the paranoia works both ways.
And they had security sweep the bedroom. Of course there wasn't, because you get literally patted down and everything was taken off you that you couldn't go in with, or any branding of clothes branding was taken off. So
interesting.
They thought I was a spy, so they swept, they swept the room for bugs and phones. And also because I'd been to a boarding school, I was the immediate anti-hero to the tabloids.
Yeah. There is something about the posh boy breaking the rules that seems to sort of play into British class.
Yes.
At what moment did you think this was going to be such a big thing? Because I remember watching the moment, and I think for me it was the exchange when Craig goes, "You've been playing a very dirty game," and you know, you can sort of sense a bit of tension then. But then I guess also it was probably when they dropped the newspapers to you afterwards.
Yeah. I think with that, I think I knew something was off the night before the confrontation around the table. And again, it was that sense that there's something, the atmosphere has changed. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to burn my suitcase out in the garden. Literally.
That was kind of the interesting divide between, in a way, you and the public, right? You always maintained this is a game show. Like it's a game show. But I think the way the British public bought into it as a social experiment, a sort of like test of a person's goodness was very strong, especially in the start, because we didn't really understand reality TV in the same way.
So what if I wrote some names? It doesn't really matter. You know, what do the girls have been doing? That's what I should have done. But I went into that schoolboy thing of suddenly being confronted and everyone suddenly ganging up that hadn't gang out. And then you've got nowhere to hide because, you know, it's 1 against 9 in that respect. It's only a game show and that's it. And that's when I did the celebrity version. I got a white T-shirt and I printed "It's only a game show," very tongue in cheek. And people thought the channel had paid me. No, that was my idea. I did it and thought, just, you know, because it's a game show. It's not life or death.
How do you feel now when we are at the peak of like The Traitors being like the biggest show in TV, which is all about manipulation, deceiving? You know, this is very much for trend. Do you sometimes think with a sense of envy, being like, come on, guys, like 20 years ago, I practically invented this format.
Do you know what? Traitors hits all of my negative or positive traits. I think I love watching that show because you know the premise.
Do you have embarrassment around it at all? Do you feel like you regret it, or do you feel like it was...
No, you can't regret it. I mean, everyone does, you know, you can't regret things you've done. You only regret things that you don't do. And it was part...
Well, Nick, I'm Irish. I regret everything I've done. I don't understand this.
I think the only thing I would change, when I came out, I would have preferred to go to drama school or gone off for 4 or 5 months and had media training or had voice or actor training. So therefore, I could be better at the things I did afterwards. And I think Brian did it from series 2.
Okay.
But you didn't. You're suddenly, you know, you're handcuffed to the channel. You're handcuffed to Endemol. You can't speak to anyone until you've signed away your lives again to it. So I think the naivety of not knowing how the system works, that's the only thing. If I went back on the show, I'd do exactly the same thing. So yeah, I'll just change that first 3 months where I could have developed skills better and been better prepared to do things moving forward.
When did the term Nasty Nick start? Was that from what was written in the headlines?
Yeah, no, I think that was the Sun that first did it. And I think the first newspaper I saw was the Sun going, "He's out," or "Nasty Nick is out." I thought, okay, this is me. And it was weird going to the hotel that night, watching herself on the news, leaving the house 4 hours
prior.
Yeah.
So you were able just to flick on the news and just...
Yeah, I went to a secret hotel in Potter's Bar or somewhere, and I just, you know, turned on the TV. I wanted to watch something because I hadn't watched TV for 5 weeks. So.
And did you want to rewatch the episodes? No, because you were told about, you know, how you felt that you, like, you know, the whole kind of the edit and the, you know, so you've never engaged in the show.
I've never watched one episode.
And so what was it like to be that famous?
Do you know what? I didn't have to buy a drink for about...
Nice!
I did have to buy a drink.
That's fame to a T.
Yeah.
Didn't have to wear a low-cut top anymore, Nick.
Yeah,
You're just out there getting your drink spot.
Literally, in about 8 months, you had to look at it in case someone spat in it or, you know, put some poison in it. But no, so any pub you went to, and the annoying thing, they'll play Big Brother music, which is the first time I had it, that's really funny. Mm-hmm. 5th time...
And this was when you were just walking in?
Yeah, just walking in.
Rather than being tied to events and stuff?
No, this was just walking in. Whoa. So you just walk into a bar or pub that had music and they'll put Big Brother on and you kind of go...
What sort of stuff would people say to you back then?
They were generally actually quite nice. It's only certain... Of course, not everyone can be loved or liked. So you got to get some people that are abusive and some people that... are generally nice. And I think once the public realize it was just a game show, I think it kind of turned into a more positive pre-show feeling.
And then were there many things that were, because you were talking about what was written about you in the papers, when you left the house, did that continue? Did it drop off? Did it linger for quite a while? Because, I mean, your name became very synonymous with Big Brother for quite a long time.
I think with that, I think your true friends know that a lot of the stories are made up, and your true friends know what you're really like. So, and it's not for me to explain to people that that's a television series, that's an edit, that's how it is, because I don't need to. I don't need to explain. So, yeah, no, it's an interesting phenomenon to be on from a perception point of view, what people in the public think to what your friends think, to what your family secretly thinks. So
that feels like a very mature perspective. Did you have it at the time? You feel you did?
I've always said, I've signed that form. I've got no recall, no animosity towards the channel, because I signed the form. The form said we will broadcast anything. The people that who complain should read what they sign or get legal advice before signing it, because when you do a reality show, you sign away your rights.
It says here that there was a press conference that you had after your eviction, and that you said, quote, "I haven't committed murder." What was that press conference like?
Do you know what's really strange? Because again, I was forced into this press conference when I should have said no. And I think you will know this as well, or anyone that's worked in media. When a producer says, "Can you do this?" you normally go yes, but you learn you can say no.
Yeah.
So hard to know that at the start, though.
Well, no, it goes back to, I had a friend that came when I was doing Celebrity Big Brother, and they wanted the person to wear a T-shirt saying "Vote Nick in," and they went no, and the producers went what? And I said to them, whatever producer says to you, if you have to wear a funny hat or do it, just say no. You're just there to be in the audience and do it.
Should have said that a few minutes ago before I had to pick up one egg into a different egg cup by our wonderful producers. But
you gotta say no, boys.
You'll see on TikTok.
But again, so again, they said, "Oh, by the way, it's in a London hotel," and they said, "You're going to a press conference." I thought, okay, there'll be a couple of journalists and a Siamese cat there. And I walk into this press conference, and the room was full, literally.
Oh, they told you it wouldn't even be...
Yeah, no, they didn't say anything. They just said, you had to do a press conference as part of your contract. Great, there'll be one journalist, maybe.
Maybe, possibly.
Maybe, possibly.
And then was it like very, I mean, it must have been surreal, but also just in terms of like, what were they asking you?
Well, first when I walked in, it's like a school assembly. There's just rows of people, and I think Sky News were doing it live.
Financial Times brought along a journalist as well, just a good measure. Yeah.
When they release you from this tiny weird prison, do they give you any support in terms of like emotional or press or any kind of guidance, or are you left to yourself?
Our series, there was very little aftercare. They said you can go and speak to the show psychologist. But he works for the channel, so there wasn't. I think nowadays, because of what's happened in previous shows, the duty of care is much more there for the contestant. In our day, it wasn't really there. But I think you have to be fairly thick-skinned and strong-minded anyway. But I just think, obviously, it was a pioneer show. I don't think they realised how big it was going to become. And so forth. They didn't really have those support systems in place. Now, since things have happened, then they've got a ream of support and psychologists and wellness people for the contestant.
So what was your kind of relationship then to fame in the years following Big Brother? Because I get a sense of like, enjoying some of the adventures that it causes, but also having this kind of low level of resentment in terms of the way that you had been depicted, but also how the media was reacting to it. Did you kind of want to go back into a life of like normality? Was that put on you? I mean, I'm intrigued about...
Nothing lasts forever. And you get that stage when, don't want to go out and be recognised. You don't want to wait for the phone to ring or go for an audition. You just, you crave to want to do things normally again.
Can't relate, but I believe you. I believe you.
Did you keep in touch with anyone from the original house?
It's a bit like when you meet people on holiday in a resort away from England and you'll get on really well. And then you come back to England and you say, let's meet up for a drink. And you meet them and go, you're as boring as fuck. And what you saw on the holiday is totally different. And it's saying that with Big Brother. And I think also the producers turned us all against each other anyway.
Yeah.
And so it would just be very awkward now or
That's such a shame because it feels like there's a group of people who have a very specific shared experience with you that you can't hold on to that.
So what made you decide to then move to Australia?
What made me go to Australia that has beautiful blue skies, very little rain, beautiful seafood.
Can't relate.
I can't relate.
In any way.
But you know what? I was in Australia ages ago, 10 years before Big Brother, and I loved it. And I just thought, you know what? Life again is too short, like a weekend. And if you don't do something, you don't do it and you miss that opportunity. So I thought, you know what? I am going to go to Australia.
How long after the Big Brother
experience? This was like 13 years after Big Brother.
Did it feel like a fresh start away from all of that?
No,
or did it come with you?
No, it's not really a fresh start. It's just, I think, I just loved it when I was younger there in Australia. And I just thought, you know what? Let's see if going back, the grass is still as green and I'll still enjoy it. Because sometimes when you go back to something, it normally never works.
Were you still recognised by Brits who had moved overseas there?
But you avoid the British pubs and the British bars because...
So essentially you wanted to have just a pint.
Yeah. And is it true that you've reverted back to Jack?
Yeah, no, because I'm actually christened Jack Nicholas Guy, but my father was Jack. Okay. And because there couldn't be two Jacks, there isn't a deck of cards, but there couldn't be two Jacks in the house.
Yeah.
So, my mother used my middle name.
Okay.
So, same case of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She set you up for the nickname all along.
Do you know what? I don't know what rhymes with Jack, but
it's always the mother's fault, you guys.
But I actually prefer it because it's a real strong Australian name, Jack. Yeah.
But is it a relief to live somewhere where it's not a guarantee that everyone knows?
Oh, do you know what? It's great. It's like being a ghost, and I enjoy being that ghost because you don't have to be accountable. You don't have to.
Okay.
No, as in,
fair enough.
But you can do. You can go to Burger King and sit there all day on your phone, and someone doesn't want to come up and take a picture.
You don't have to be observed.
What your autograph. So it's nice, and I'm glad I don't do that anymore. I wouldn't want to, and I was offered actually Big Brother in Australia. I thought, at first I thought, but I want to do it. Yeah. Then I thought, you know what? I don't want to do it.
What was that initial urge? Why did you want to do it?
Just because I had this problem. I must have hit my head or something or fallen over because I just had this sudden urge of actually I wouldn't mind doing it again in a different country. But I thought, you know what? No, there'll be too much of a blowback, and it'll get back to England. I've done this one here, and then the whole come to the. I thought, no, it was a crazy fleeting thought for a second.
I mean, I think looking back at your life and the fact that you had got onto Big Brother and you didn't really know exactly what it was going to play out as, like, what do you wish the younger version of you knew before any of this kicked off, before you went to the house?
Well, it's I just think.
Is it something you think of? Is it not really that much?
No, it's not. I think if I gave advice to someone who's doing reality TV now, be it, I would say, if you've got any skeletons in your cupboard, don't do it. If you're not thick-skinned, don't do it. Because nowadays we didn't have social media. Mm-hmm. And I think if we had social media and the amount of abuse some reality contestants get, that's very hard to deal with because you're always very curious what someone writes. And if you can get 10 people or 9 people saying you're the best person in the world, but the one person that says you're a shithead and they come around and shoot you, that's the one that, totally
Keeps you up at
destroys you.
night.
So I'd say to people now doing a show, don't do it unless you really, really want to, because if you've got a skeleton or you're not thick-skinned, you possibility of being abused, possibility of getting an edit you might not like, you've got no control over it. But if you're happy with that, I mean, my talk of doom would be that, if you're really happy doing something that you could be exposed.
I have to know what happened with Craig.
Oh, my
Because
God.
you buried the hatchet. He came to Australia. You hung out.
Do you know what? It's one of those things when people like that go to an opening of an envelope or opening of a door.
Quite far away to admit. Yeah.
And you know what? He came out to Australia. I think his company paid him to go up, the Harbour Bridge, and I took him out for dinner, and he went back to England, and then I read what he said about me, which is not what I said. And I thought, you know what? I believe in karma, so whatever you said. And I thought, you know what? I took you to my house. You stayed with me in London when you had nowhere to stay with. I took you out for dinner in Sydney, and you write this shit. So
Wow.
you kind of go, that's how it is. Since then, I've gone, you know what? I can't be asked to entertain you or talk to you. You behave like that, You may have made, pack of Monster Munch and a can of Coke from selling that little snippet, but you just go, yeah, why bother?
Yeah. Do you think maybe people think you're a bit impenetrable, like it wouldn't hurt you?
Of course, we're all sensitive. We all like to be loved and appreciated and told we're doing good. We don't like to be criticised, although I think from, when I was brought up, especially, I think people's 60s, 70s, 80s maybe, like to be praised for doing something and don't like to be curtailed or criticised. And I think now you can't criticise someone because you might hurt their feelings. But yeah, of course, if someone writes something that's not true or is hurtful, of course, as a natural human being, you do get disappointed or you don't like. But we can't all be liked. It can't all be rainbows and unicorns.
Did you have anyone sort of quite famous come to you and say hiya?
Do you know what? There's some people that are antichrist now. People I thought, people like Freddie Starr was really nice and friendly. Perry Fenwick from EastEnders was really nice and friendly. But I think a lot of actors didn't like Big Brother people because they thought they were taking jobs.
Of course, yeah.
Didn't deserve it. So there was quite a lot of blowback from other people I won't mention, but a lot of people were just really supportive and helpful, and you kind of go, that's really quite nice.
Okay. Speaking of famous people, you photobombed, or maybe you were. Yeah, are you photobombing in this picture with Brad?
No, that was photo. No, that was a genuine
photobombing?
picture. That was a genuine picture.
That's crazy.
By David Hogan of The Sun.
And how was Brad Pitt?
Cool. I mean, that's a total mindfuck.
Yeah.
Total mindfuck. You're in a Big Brother house eating bread.
Overfeeding some chickens.
With fat chickens.
Yeah.
And then literally 3 days later, you're at premiere with Guy Ritchie, Brad Pitt, Vinnie Jones. And it's like, this is that you just can't explain it.
You have to say, to be fair, for a man who was sat in his office going, all I want to do is just change my life, this isn't where you certainly changed it.
It was a bit extreme going on a front page. That's not the front page, so that was about 3 days later, but that was kind of weird.
What I love about that photo is how Brad Pitt is completely oblivious. As
He's
if it's like a cardboard cutout of Brad Pitt.
It looks like he's been put in there.
It really does. It looks like he's green screened in. Yeah. Is that just what happens when you put an American beside British people? They just look like they would.
It's very much the transition between the two.
Wow, amazing. What a life.
What a life. Thank you so much for being with us.
So nice
Thank
to
you
speak
so
to
much.
you. Nick Bateman, thank you for joining us on Remember Me.
Pleasure.
Remember to like and subscribe our YouTube page, and you can also follow us on Instagram at Remember Me Show and TikTok at Remember Me Show MDS. As well as that, you can also watch us on YouTube and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Send in your questions and guest suggestions for who you want us to have on future episodes of the show, and you can email us at rememberme@micdropstudios.com.
And you can also visit us at micdropstudios.com/remember me.
And don't forget to leave your comments below about today's episode. Apparently, I'm supposed to tell you that we do read every single one. Obviously, that would seem like a lie from me, but I'll start now. So you write them, I'll read them.